Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the MatchNet podcast. Today is a special episode because after the episode that we did with Andrea Kuhn about blessing the solution, I was reached out by a really important person in our movement, Theresia Kittle, who actually has so much experience helping many wives to solve all their problems with their husband and actually be happy. So I'm very excited to have this conversation with her. Based on what are the tips that they do. But first of all, Theresia, could you please introduce yourself, share a little bit for the audience who doesn't know you, where you are, what you're doing, and who you are?
Good evening, Carina. Thank you. Yes, I am presently in the Philippines, in Quezon City, Manila. And my husband is the 21 chairman of Asia Pacific. So we have been here for 4 years in Manila. But actually, we have been missionaries in Asia Pacific since 1975. And I joined him in 1985. So with some interruption because we couldn't have children. For 7 years, we tried until we conceived our first daughter. For that, we actually went back to America for some years. But then my husband was again asked to be missionary in India and Nepal and Thailand, but now we are in Philippines. So,
oh, wow.
Yes, our life has been a missionary life, which I wanted to have when I was young. That was my desire, to be a missionary. So it is all working out very well for us.
Oh, beautiful. And tell me a little bit, what is your intention of sharing this information in this podcast, and how all this came up for you?
Yes. So I want to share about the book called The Empowered Wife by Laura Doyle. And I found this book in the shelf of my spiritual granddaughter. One day in New York, I was visiting, and just reading one page, this really spoke to me. I felt I could relate to it. And at that time, we were living in Nepal, and I experienced my husband giving me silence treatment sometimes, and even for 2 weeks. And it was difficult. And at one point, he even said, I don't know anymore what to do. And I also did not know what to do. But I always was reading things, how to improve the marriage. And so when I came up on this book, and I found this book, I thought, oh, this is good. I want to read that. And then we moved to Thailand, and actually had a lot of time there because people don't speak English in Thailand. And that's where I studied the book. And it says in the book, it's good to share this with other women, like to have a home group and study it together. But in Thailand, that was difficult to do because of the language barrier. But soon after that, we were asked to move to Philippines, and in Philippines, everybody speaks English. So right away, I started to invite sisters from the headquarters to our studio, and we started to study the book together. And in the meantime already, the relationship with my husband had improved a lot. I don't experience silence treatment anymore.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He can easily control his anger now. He wants to be happy, and our relationship really has become very harmonious and very peaceful and playful. And I give credit to the 6 intimacy skills that Laura Doyle is teaching in this book, The Empowered Wife.
Oh, wow. So it sounds like it's not a book only to change yourself, but it seems like it changed the husband too.
Actually, I was the first one to practice, but automatically the husband also wants to follow. And if I'm not controlling, if I'm respectful, if I don't criticize my husband, if I don't interrupt him and not nag him, then his response is much better than if I'm critical and don't accept him the way he is. If I want to change him, it doesn't have a good effect on the marriage relationship. So, yeah, I can talk a little bit about the 6 skills.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So the first skill is self-care. Especially when we are struggling with a problem, the best thing is to take time to care for ourselves rather than focusing on the husband. So I have a list of 20 things, actually more than that make me happy, like eating out, taking a walk, swimming, writing down 7 things that I'm grateful for every day in a gratitude journal, doing hundoke, journaling, going to the hairdresser, listening to certain podcasts. Also, cooking makes me happy, playing with my grandchildren, getting a facial, going to a movie, taking a foot bath, praying, having coffee or tea with a friend. Also to exercise. I like Donna Eden's energy exercises. And also reading a book or singing, taking a nap, just greeting strangers on the street and witnessing to them, looking at videos of our grandchildren or pictures, watching a sunset, and also attending Empowered Wives meeting or playing board games. These are some things on my self-care list, and it's good to do at least 3 of these items every day to feel really good. So if I'm feeling grumpy, then it means I didn't do enough self-care. But if I'm feeling good, then it means I did enough self-care. When I'm tempted to complain, I realize now from learning those skills that there is a desire behind the complaint. And I need to find out what is that desire. And if I know what is my desire behind the complaint, I can find many ways to address this and then fulfill this desire. And no need to complain about anything. So, yeah, that is one thing that I realized. And then the next skill is to restore respect. I didn't really know what it means to be respectful before I studied these skills. So even if my husband says something and I don't agree with him, to respect means to still honor his desire and what he says. Not to roll my eyes. Rolling my eyes would be disrespectful. And also, I learned to listen without giving suggestions or tips, but just to say, I hear you. So that it doesn't mean I agree, but I hear what you say and I'm respectful in listening to him. And I don't dismiss what he says and don't express any criticism. This really, I became very serious not to criticize him, even if he deserves it. I will not express any criticism. And I will just trust him that he has my best interest in mind and that he knows already and that I don't have to have things my way. He already knows well how to do everything for our best interest. So I'm not trying to teach him. and not right. I don't correct him also. For example, if my husband, he likes to eat a lot of garlic, uh, and it makes his body smell. But I will not complain at all. I will not say anything, even if I think, oh, tomorrow he has a meeting and he will meet many people and they will also smell it. But still, I will not say anything because this is not my responsibility. And I feel it's not on my side of the street. It's his responsibility to take care of himself. So and it works very nicely for us, for me not to be critical. And actually, I realized at that time when I had a lot of silence treatment, that my husband, he always does a lot of writing, and he always asked me to do proofreading for him, and so I did. But actually, proofreading is criticizing him, is telling him what kind of mistakes he made. So I didn't realize that this was actually undermining our relationship. So now I'm not doing any more proofreading for him. He does everything by himself automatically on the computer, and it preserves our intimacy. Yeah. And also, I don't make fun of him because he does things the way a man does things, not the way I do things. I realize it helps me improve myself also. My husband actually has many good ideas. And I had to watch myself carefully not to tell my husband what to do. That is also disrespectful. And I feel now I have come to a point where I can do that. But the reason is because I'm always reading this book still. And also I started many groups with sisters where we've studied a book together and then share our experiences together. And that always refreshes the skills. And then also once a week, I listen to the podcast of Laura Doyle. Every week, she interviews a lady who was successful in changing her relationship from being miserable to happy. And actually, these podcasts are available on YouTube. There are over 100 women that she interviewed, and with different problems. And basically that the goal of Laura Doyle is to end world divorce. And it really has helped many sisters that I studied with. Luckily, here in the Philippines, the Blessed Family Department director also studied with me these skills. And she got all the regional coordinators to also join. And then some of them were very inspired by it. And then one sister started an international group with especially sisters who live in Japan. So like Filipino sisters who live in Japan. But in the meantime, Filipino sisters from Canada, from Austria, from all different parts of the world have joined this group also. And then just recently, I started a group with young couples, young wives that just started their marriage relationship, their family relationship. And that is also very nice. It's from all over the world. And actually with sisters that I know from here in the Philippines, but now they are spread all over. But we get together and we share about our lives. And it's very exciting because many of them got pregnant in the meantime and have already children. So this is really very nice. Yeah. So this was skill number 2 about restoring respect. And then skill number 3 is to relinquish control. Many times we do things because we are afraid that it's not gonna be the outcome that we want. And we think we have the only good way, but actually, I learned to trust my husband and let him do things he likes to do it. Many times my fear really was not realistic. It's a good question to ask myself, is my fear realistic? Can I actually control the situation? Like my husband has put on some weight lately after COVID, but I will not say anything. I just let him take care, because I think actually he wouldn't follow me anyway, and it would just strain our relationship. And I came to the conclusion that it is better to have a close relationship than insisting on being right. So I'm not insisting on being right anymore. Yeah. Also, I really learned to appreciate my husband, actually, by having experience talking to many sisters. Like, I know one couple who is having difficulty having children. And then I realized my husband and I, we struggled for 7 years to conceive our first daughter. And my husband was always patient. He never complained about the medical expenses. He never even thought about leaving me for another wife. He always was totally 100% supportive. So yeah, I'm coming to appreciate him more and more, and trusting him completely. And yeah, so if I'm not controlling, my husband actually is very close and feels like a hero. He feels like he can please me. And yeah, I want to avoid distant. And if I'm telling him what to do, he feels defensive. So that I learned to avoid with these skills. Yeah. And also, it's good to say I can't if I feel I cannot do it joyfully, whatever he's asking or I should do. So it's good to receive help. Actually, as a woman, this is skill number 4. Our nature is to receive. Like, we receive the seed of a child and we bear it in the womb and then give birth. So the skill number 4 is called receive, receive, receive. Receive any compliment, receive any help, receive any present, and also any apology graciously. So lately I learned to, when my husband apologizes for something, to say, oh, I'm really grateful that you are so caring and that you apologized. And I thank him. Then the next skill, number 5, is to reveal our heart with vulnerability. So instead of saying, you hurt my feelings, I feel the best thing is to say, ouch, and then nothing else. And he knows what he did. Like, recently, he asked one sister to help me with the computer to do the Skype well, because he bought Skype and I needed to learn how to use our own Skype. And he said to the sister that I'm very bad on the computer with computer skills. So the right thing for me at this time was to say, ouch, because he hurt my feelings with what he said. But I don't think always right away of saying that. So, but anyway, even realizing afterwards, I should have said, ouch, it's already an improvement. And next time I will say, ouch. Or if my husband, sometimes we hurt each other because we live close together, just like children hurt each other in the sandbox because they're just so close to each other. Everybody can get hurt sometimes. So I want to always keep in mind, I can say ouch and then not anything else. So it is my nature not to start an argument, or also not to respond to an argument, to just be quiet. So that has been actually very good for our relationship. We didn't have many arguments because I'm just not the one who will argue. Yeah. But with the intimacy skills, our relationship became more intimate, and also I love my husband to hold my hand And then if he does not do it, I say, I miss holding your hand. And then right away he will do it. Also, if I'm scared, right away, he knows, and he will right away protect me. To express a lot of gratitude to my husband. That is skill number 6. Give 3 gratitudes to my husband a day. It's extremely good for our relationship. He feels like he's my hero. And yeah, this is kind of an overview of the intimacy skills, but there are many good examples in the book. It's really worth it to read it. And I learned it also from the ladies who talk in the podcasts, because how they practice the skill is always helps me to review. And there's always a way to get deeper in understanding and how to practice the skills.
Oh yeah, well, thank you so much for sharing those skills with us. My mind is like in all the scenarios. Oh, I did that wrong, or that's my problem. I have so many notes that I took, and if you're listening, I really recommend having a pen and a note and write a little bit of this. But it's kind of interesting because I feel like, yeah, women, we tend to control, and we tend to kind of try to teach them. So my husband has a really hard time when I try to teach him or correct him, right?
Yeah.
And it's so interesting because a lot of time that we fight, there's something, or either by the style that how he's fighting, or how he's saying things, or what he's saying, that in my mind is that, oh, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, you're doing this wrong, you're doing this wrong. So by the end, I'm like telling him that he needs to change, or these are the things that you need to change, and he gets even more upset.
Yes.
And he feels like one of the critics I receive from him a lot is like, you don't give me a break, right? Like, oh, you don't give me a break. Everything is like, I need to be perfect, right? And so hard. And I think it's so hard because of all this point, right? Like, first of all, we need self-care, or learn to take care of ourselves. And if we are, and this is what we have found, that if we are full, we react less. So we don't respond. So sometimes the problem is when 2 people are empty, then it's really hard to, there's no grace, right? Because none of them has a space for grace. And yeah, at the same time, respect. It's a different kind of perspective, right? Of respect. It's not the only not saying mean words, or no being mean, but at the same time, I think for men, respect, it is so important and looks so different, right? As a, like in my case, oh, you should do this different, or why you do this, you have a problem. And first of all, I've been trying for him to go to therapy since we got married. Like, oh, you should go to therapy. And yeah, I go to therapy. So I was like, but at some point, I mean, I'm just, I even don't know how to get him to the point. And that's it. You see in my vocabulary, how to get him. That's another controlling aspect, right, of myself. Like, okay, how I can change him instead of accepting him as what he is, right? Another thing to add, he's now looking for a job, and I'm like, in my mind, it's like, are you trying 100%? Have you tried this? How long this is gonna take, and there's so many fears around it. When are you gonna be the provider, or things like that, and yeah, all those things I don't say them aloud very often, but sometimes with comments here and there, it really makes him feel like unrespected or untrust, right? And yeah, so these are a little bit of my challenges.
Uh, yeah. Uh, you make me think about what you just said, the example about your husband, about when you're going to be the provider. Actually, you could use a spouse fulfilling prophecy and call him
Mm.
Mr. Moneybags. So, and even though it's not true right now, but it will come true. Like even sometimes I feel my husband is stingy, actually. But I wrote in my diary yesterday morning, I'm grateful that my husband is generous. And then we meet with this couple, and he finds out that they lost $1,400 that they wanted to use for their wedding. And he was willing to give them $2,000. So I feel he is so generous. So right away, this my prophecy of him being generous was fulfilled right there.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
and like you said, about respect. Yeah, actually, Laura Doyle, the author of the book, The Empowered Wife, she says, respect is like oxygen for our husbands. It's so important. And I noticed that young wives also tend to tell their husbands a lot what they should do or how they should do things. And it's disrespectful, and they become very defensive, and they don't want to help. They don't want to do anything. They only feel emasculated because they feel they cannot please the spouse. But if we are grateful and really appreciate them, and trust them that they can do things right, then they become really resourceful. And many men have become very rich since their wives practice the 6 intimacy skills, according to Laura Doyle. She has helped thousands of women. And another thing I wanted to mention is that we should apologize when we are disrespectful. And the way to apologize is to say, I apologize for being disrespectful when I said this and this. So very specific, and then not to say anything else, not to say because it just is maybe another complaint or another criticism, and then we owe another apology. So it's best to just say only one apology, or we can do also a blanket apology for all the times when we were disrespectful in the past. But and we should be the first one to apologize. And since I apologize, also my husband apologizes from time to time, much more easily now than ever before.
Oh, yeah. And I imagine the skills, although we are talking about it today, they're really hard to apply, and they're so ingrained in our habits that I understand why you have groups, right? Because
Yes.
those are the spaces to remind ourselves, oh yeah, this is what I want, right? And create a vision and
Yes.
share the victories and the failures, right?
That's right. That's right.
I want to add as well about the receive.
Yes.
I think that we a lot in our movement we focus a lot about giving, and which is such an important part. But
Yes.
our original position as a woman is to receive, but we
Yes.
don't know how to receive.
Mm.
Receive it is not only like being there. Oh, okay, give me this. Okay, and just if someone gives you something and you hold it in your hands, it's not the only thing of receiving. There's an active effort in receiving, and the receiving is an action by itself, right? It's not a passive action. And it's actually really hard, especially because we tend to forget about it, or we tend to not not appreciate, right? And that's connected with the gratitude, how much we receive, right? And the importance of being good object partners.
Yes. Mm. Yeah. I wanted to say that receiving any present, any compliment, any apology, any help is the ultimate form of giving up control, to be a gracious receiver.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And we should tell our husbands what we want. We should not tell them what to do, but we should tell them what we want, so they know how to make us happy and how to fulfill our desires. They don't read our mind. They can't read our mind, just like we cannot read our husband's mind. So we should say what we want, and it is respectful to say I want, but not. We should not say why we want it, how we want it, and when we want it. We should not expect that we will get it, but we still can say what we want. And even I have a list of things, like I have a list of self-care. I have also a list of things I want. And already I got many, many things that I want or I would love to. That is the right way of expressing to our husband what we want. And my husband is very happy to fulfill my desires. Yeah. So rather than complaining, so we should find what is it that I want behind the complaint. There is some kind of want, some unfulfilled desire. So we should express our desire in a way that inspires. And that is by saying, I want.
That's beautiful. I guess that connected with the next step, which is vulnerability. In order to share what you need, it requires a level of vulnerability, right? There's a difference between saying, oh, I want this, or hey, I'm feeling this way, and and this is my inner world, and expose yourself and your inner world with vulnerability and share your needs with vulnerability, right? Why don't you give me this when I need it? That's very different, right? That vulnerability.
It's accusation. Yeah. Yeah. We need to avoid accusations and complaints. It does not inspire our spouse. Yeah. And many times, if we have enough self-care, we find a way to solve problems.
So how has been your experience leading these groups? What are you learning from the groups as well? And is there any inspiring testimony or experience that you would like to share with us?
Yes. One very inspiring testimony for me is one wife, they have not had sexual relationship for many, many years. But after studying the skills, she made an effort to be very relaxed, and now they have sexual relationships again, which is very good for the overall relationship also. Yeah. And other examples of wives, yeah, especially I feel they are learning to be respectful to their husbands, what it means to be respectful, and then naturally their relationship is more harmonious. Just like you said, you actually understand very well about the groups. I feel how we share, like just with the young wives, they encountered some things that were not revealed in the matching process. So, and they have no one to share it with. They don't want to share it with their family. Like one sister, she thought she is marrying a farmer she's getting blessed with a farmer in Korea, but it ends up he's only a worker and that doesn't have his own home, and the financial situation is not so good. So she felt like through the translation, somehow it was not totally honest, and then she doesn't want to share that with her family. But in our group, we keep everything confidential. So she's able to share her heart, and I think ultimately it will help her to digest this kind of grudge against her husband. But this is another thing. I encourage the sisters not to complain to their husbands, but they can share any kind of complaint in our group with the other wives, and we will not tell. We will keep confidential what we hear, and just we help support each other emotionally this way. Or another sister, her husband did not tell her that he's smoking. Only when they started family life together, she realized that he's smoking. So and then hearing different things that others are dealing with, it helps other sisters to go deeper in the heart and to forgive and to find a way forward. And then even with pornography, one wife, she was struggling a lot with that, but she gained a much more respectful heart toward her husband and to support him, even though he has one problem with pornography. And she focuses especially on doing what her husband wants to do, to unite with him. Before, she was very doing so many conditions and having like her own schedule so much. She had no time to do things with her husband. But now she focuses a lot on spending time with her husband, and their relationship is becoming much closer in that way. Yeah, even I think it saves many fights. There's much less fighting. Yeah.
Yeah, I joined a wife group when at the beginning of after I got blessed, a new wife group, and it was really nice to have that space. And I think knowing that you're not the only one, and knowing that there are other cases, either worse or better, right? But just knowing other cases and learning from other cases, because you learn from those experiences and you don't have to repeat them again, right?
Yeah,
So
that's right.
I think there's a big value of groups. And if there is any wife here right now, listen to us, and you're looking for support, please contact Theresia. I'm pretty sure she can know which group to put you on.
Yes.
So I have a question for you, Theresia. There are many people, there are many men and women who are single, who are listening to this podcast, right? What do you think, as for a single woman who is looking for their matching or in the matching process, what they could do to become a really good wife when they get blessed?
That's a very good question. And actually, Laura Doyle, the first book she wrote was called The Surrendered Wife. And actually, it's my favorite book. I recommend it. But the title is very unappealing to many sisters and my husband also. But also, she wrote another book called The Surrendered Single. She is a Catholic woman, and so she believes in dating, and which is not appropriate for our family federation scenario. So actually, in the moment, I'm in the process of typing the book for our own context. Instead of dating, I put the matching process. So, and since some time, I have a group for, I called it at first Surrendered Singles, but now that I'm rewriting the book, and with the input of one of the sisters, actually a second Jen, she said, let's call it the Empowered Single. So my rewrite of this is called the Empowered Single. So I have one group also, and they could join that group. I hold it at 7:30 p.m. Philippine time. There's only one group for surrendered singles, and it helps them a lot also in the matching process to be respectful and not to be controlling, and to be grateful, to be good receiver, and to learn to be vulnerable also, yes, and to do self-care. Yeah, it applies. Actually, these skills apply for the workplace also. It applies for in-laws. I apologized many times to the mother-in-law of my daughter. I used this apology, yes, and even one time I noticed my daughter, she is telling her husband how to fry the bratwurst. And I said to her, oh, you're telling your husband what to do. That is not correct, is not good to do. And she is very vulnerable. Actually, she started crying when I corrected her like that. But automatically, from me applying the skills, she also learns to apply the intimacy skills in her marriage. And thank God they have very nice marriage. And it's also good, for the applying with the children. Before I studied the intimacy skills with Laura Doyle from the Empowered Wife, I was trying to learn from Dr. Craig Bear, because he wrote a book about marriage. And but I find it more complicated, and I felt it's from a man's point of view. For me, as a sister, Laura Doyle's way of conveying the message is just perfect. And on top of that, Craig Bear was divorced himself. Then I had for a while, I tried to participate in their group, and it was a divorced lady who was like coaching me. And then she wanted to refer me to somebody from England who was also divorced. And I said, wow, I am getting scared. I don't want to get divorced. So I did not continue that. And then I found this Empowered Wife, which is really suited for us women, I feel.
Nice.
In the meantime, Greg Bear focuses on children, not on marriage anymore. I noticed, yeah.
Nice. Oh, very excited for those single people who start to apply and these points, right? We receive a lot of comments from sisters that the men in our church or in our movement are very immature. So I feel like we already seen that we are having the same struggle of controlling or just or not be able to receive or be able to respect possible matching candidates, right? Because we see them for their flaws, right? So I think that these skills could help a lot of sisters who are struggling or even are trying to find a match for to get blessed together, right?
Actually, I'm a matching supporter. So that's why I'm very motivated to have this empowered singles group to teach the people I'm the matching supporter, the sisters I'm matching supporter for, the skills. And it's really women who have the power to make the relationship good. And in our family federation, we are very fortunate. Our brothers don't drink, don't smoke, and they know the fall of men. They really control. They're not womanizers in general, and also they don't gamble. So they are good men. Actually, any of them is a good man, and I believe we can make the relationship work with any good man. That's what Laura Doyle also says in her book. And that's why I feel it gives me confidence to introduce sisters to brothers. Even nobody is perfect, and there are always ups and downs in every marriage. Also in my own marriage, there are still ups and downs. Even though I feel altogether it has improved a lot, we can make any marriage work as long as we want to. We women have that power. If we apply the skills, we can make it work.
Yeah, that's amazing. My dad used to say, don't worry who you get married with, you will make any person a king.
Yeah, it's true.
And it makes me think about the power of women, right? Like we have a lot of power as a woman, and that's why I believe we are controlling, but that's not the way of how changes happen and how our power should be done, right? It's through love, and love doesn't have control. So that's why it's so difficult for us to practice it in the correct way.
Yeah, it takes some getting used to, but actually many women, they feel even within 2 weeks already there's an improvement if they
Wow.
apply the skill, if they learn the skills. And usually they pick one they want to start with and focus on. Really worth it to invest some time. And the book is available on PDF. I think I sent you the PDF
Yes.
of the book, but yeah, it's available on Amazon and any kind of bookstore.
Nice. So
Yeah.
exciting. I have to finish the book now. So, and
Yeah.
Theresia, is there any last kind of comment, conclusion, advice for our audience about this topic?
Trust your spouse that he has the best interest in your mind, and the way he does things will work.
Great. Okay. Thank you so much. I think I learned so much for myself. And I will go now and give him a very big hug to my husband.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing this amazing, important information. And yeah, I hope to go even more deeper next time.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. I'm grateful to your husband for watching your son or daughter, I think. Right? So
Yeah.
you can do this interview
Yeah.
at this time of the day. Thank you so much, Carina. It's a joy to talk with you. And
Oh,
I think you're a wonderful wife.
oh, thank you. Thank you, everyone who listened to this, and see you next time.